Well, joining me now for some legal perspective on this high-profile case is Alan Tuerkheimer, litigation and jury consultant and founder of Trial Methods Incorporated. Thank you so much for your time today, Alan. What is going to be most important for seating this jury? How difficult will it be when we're talking about such a high-profile case, such a high-profile defendant?
Both sides, the prosecution and the defense, are going to spend time thoroughly questioning potential jurors. They're going to pose questions. They're going to listen to the answers. They're going to observe them. And it's going to include a whole range of topics that have to do with just generally prosecutors. They're going to have to talk about Hollywood, Alec Baldwin. Certainly most jurors know of Alec Baldwin. And they're going to talk about firearms as well, because typically happens on a jury is one or two jurors might have some experience that relate to the issues in the case. And in this venue, I think firearms ownership is significant. And so they're going to have to think, well, once it gets down to the deliberation, which are the jurors that are going to argue for flaunting the rules and being reckless, or which are the jurors that are going to say, yeah, this malfunction can just happen. Maybe it wasn't his fault. So those are the kinds of inquiries that are going to be made during the jury selection process. And it's interesting, too, that in a case like this, each side has to look out for what we call a stealth juror, somebody who may have a predetermined outcome in their mind, regardless of the evidence. They want to fall through the radar and slip it onto the jury. And so the sides have to try to find that person. There are different motivations for a stealth juror to be on a jury. You might have somebody wanting to fight for an acquittal or fight for a conviction. We don't know what, but each side has to be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely. How much do you think the guilty outcome of the armor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and her sentence will play into what happens with Alec Baldwin?
A trial is a game of getting evidence in, telling a story, and then trying to persuade jurors and then empowering them to persuade others in the deliberation. I think it's going to be a factor. I think that some jurors want accountability. So it also depends on how much they know about that story and how much they know about everything. The Zaromsky, the guy you just had on there, essentially gave a pretty factual and emotional type of mini closing argument for the prosecution, because I assume he's not testifying. Seemed like it was late in the game. Maybe he is, but even if he isn't, the prosecution's going to elicit that kind of testimony about how he used words, I think he said cavalier and not following protocols. And obviously, with somebody who lost her life, you have the emotional component. So
yeah. All right, I'd like to talk about another
it's going to be an uphill battle
case
for the defense to overcome that.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Karen Reed murder case. We're going to Massachusetts now. Her lawyers are wanting to dismiss the charges against her in connection to the death of her Boston cop boyfriend. The judge did declare a mistrial, but the lawyers said that they received, quote, unsolicited communications from 3 of the jurors that there was firm agreement that Karen Reed was not guilty of 2 of the 3 charges against her. First, just talk about the significance of those jurors revealing that and communicating with Reed's lawyers.
It's a pretty unusual situation. Sacrosanct is the word I use to describe what jury deliberations are like. It's really supposed to be protected. And a lot of times jurors don't want to reveal what happened in the deliberation afterwards. So I attach some significance to the fact that they contacted the lawyers. We don't know what went on because, from my understanding, they didn't actually fill out the verdict form the way the jurors said that should have been filled out, unanimous in favor of the defense. So it's sticky. And now with every day that passes, it's harder to go back and try to reconstruct something. I think it's probably a stretch that they're going to get the judge to somehow rule that there were verdicts on these questions, but it'll be interesting to see. And they're trying their best, certainly, and learning what the jurors have to say.
Do you think that Karen Reed will be tried again?
Sounds like she will be. Sometimes when prosecutors really believe they have a case, they dig in, and there's a mistrial, they can go at it again. It's an advantage for the defense because they know what the case looks like. It's the prosecution is limited in what they can bring in and how they're going to try it, and the defense has more flexibility, but I think they're going to retry her.
All right. We will certainly see what happens. Litigation and jury consultant Alan Tuerkheimer, thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Good to see you.